What's identity? I've struggled with this question for a while now. Identity, as according to Oxford Languages, is the fact of being something or who someone is. Alright, that's what we can call it. After all, we see it used in the media like it's nothing. Used so often that we associate it with things like credit cards, trinkets, or other material objects of vanity. It works for all literal interpretations, but when you ask questions like, what does my identity look like? Or who am I? That definition shatters. It peels from the sides like old wallpaper, and you're forced to come to realize that you don't know. This is the train of thought that I went through, and why I've had such a hard time figuring out what identity is and what it's made out of. So what is it, and what is it made out of? Well, I've narrowed it down to two factors, right now at least. One is social aspects. Social aspects is a broad term. I'm using it to describe any contact that you would have with an outside entity or person. For example, you could have indirect and direct contact. A form of indirect contact would include scrolling through social media, strictly watching and not interacting. Direct contact would include talking in a group at work or talking with your friends in person. We're constantly surrounded by people, and that's the price to pay for living in a society. Being as such, through this indirect and direct contact, we're raised with morals that reflect societal values. And those societal values become one of the founding blocks, or cornerstones, as you could call, of our identities. Without set morals, of which you get from society, you don't have an identity. In other words, morals are the foundation of which you build your personality and identity upon. The second factor is upbringing. Upbringing, again, is a general term. It includes culture, parental values, and geographical location. If you were raised in a Chinese home, you might be raised with Chinese values. And those values are often passed down through generation to generation. They're a generational thing. So chances are that your parents would also carry those same values. Geographical location also plays a hand in this. For example, right? If you were raised in the deep south of America, you might be raised with Protestant values, as Christianity is predominant in that region, for religions at least. So, given these two factors, we finally have something concrete to work with. But there's one factor that makes the two factors overlap, and that's other people. Other people throw this definition of identity, or of what makes identity, into question. Questions like, if we need other people to become ourselves, do we truly have a unique personality? Or if we have to be around people constantly, is there an identity that we can form of our own? Questions like those are contradictions to what I've come up with so far. They're contradictions that seemingly can't be answered, and I can't provide an answer for them. So what do we do now? Well, the way I see it is that we have two options. Well, technically three if you'd like to isolate yourself in a cabin somewhere. But that doesn't sound particularly ideal, so that leaves us with two options. The first of which being ego death. Ego death, ego dissolution, ego destruction, whatever you'd like to call it, these all fall under the same category in which your ego is destroyed. By ego, I mean your sense of self, or what you currently have of your identity. Ego death, in a literal sense, means that you have to separate or completely eradicate any subjective sense of self that you have. And sure, it's heavily involved with spiritual techniques or spirituality, but that's just how ego death is. And along the same lines, if you commit ego death, you'd better have thought about it. It's something serious and something you can never get back. Because while you're doing it, while you're committing it, you're getting rid of your past, present, and future. You're getting rid of yourself and what made you to be who you are today. And you don't know if you can ever get that back. And personally, that's not something for me. I'm not too attracted to the idea of losing my sense of self. And I'd personally rather like to keep my identity as it is, or what I have of it right now. So the second option is indifference. Indifference pertains to indifference. That's not helpful at all, but indifference, by definition, is to stop caring at all. Now, it sounds kind of hard, and it definitely is if this is a question that bothers you, but identity, as it is right now, is something that's gradually shaped over time. You can't force yourself to figure out who you are or force yourself to come up with new personality traits. For right now, all you can do is understand that you can either stop caring or grieve over your personality for years to come. I chose the second option because indifference, in every aspect, to be honest, is an easier option to ego death. Indifference right now is working for me as I don't care about who I am particularly. I have a set of morals, but I don't care about who I am beyond what makes me, me. Sure, I have culture, I have personality traits, but at the same time, I don't really care about personality traits. They're shaped by my upbringing. And I know what I like and what I don't like. So beyond that, what else is important? Being comfortable in your own skin, above all else, is the most important thing to do for yourself. Identity is a second priority to making sure that you're comfortable in any situation. So, as a final note, I'd like to say, everything that I've talked about so far is subjective. I'm just a 15-year-old who's giving an oratory speech and trying to figure out her identity. I'm trying to figure out who I am, if I should care, and what made me, me. So take my words with a grain of salt, or don't, and take that root of indifference if you will. But above all else, make sure to prioritize your own health and well-being over something trivial, like ego death or identity.